The hall of the Grand Council shimmered with golden light. Walls made of smooth crystal reflected the faces of leaders from across the galaxy. Everyone was silent as the large double doors opened. From behind them walked a tall figure wrapped in silver and black cloth. Her face was hidden behind a veil, not a single part of her skin showing. She was Princess Cerulean of the Valari Dominion, the only daughter of a powerful and ancient alien empire. Her people were graceful and wise, but proud and dangerous. When crossed, today was supposed to be the beginning of peace. For more than 70 years, the Valari had been at war with 3 neighboring species. Many lives were lost. Cities turned to ash. Entire planets were abandoned. Now a treaty had been prepared, but it required something rare, a bond link, a lifelong connection, like marriage, between the princess and someone from another world. This bond would tie their nations together. It was sacred. But the princess had made one unusual demand. "No one may see my face," she had declared. It was not a joke. It was a test. The Valari believed that only someone pure of heart could accept her as she was, without needing to see her appearance. If someone agreed to the bond and still loved her after the connection, only then would she reveal herself. But for weeks, suitors had come and gone. Warriors, nobles, scientists, and even royalty. All had refused. "I cannot bond with someone I haven't seen. It's too risky. I need to know what I'm agreeing to." One by one, they left. The Galactic Council grew restless. Peace was slipping through their fingers. Then, without warning, a small ship arrived from Earth. A single man stepped out. Tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a worn-out uniform and a metal arm that gleamed in the sun. His face carried scars, but his eyes were calm. He walked straight into the council chamber and introduced himself. "I'm Captain Elias Rourke, Terran Defense Forces, retired." The council looked at each other in confusion. A human. Earth wasn't part of the negotiations. Why was he here? Elias saluted, then lowered his hand. "I heard no one was brave enough to take the offer, so I figured I'd try." "Why would a human do this?" asked one counselor, a fish-like creature with glowing gills. "I've fought wars. I've ended them too. If a bond can stop bloodshed, I'll take that chance," Elias said simply. Princess Cerulean tilted her head. "You know the rules? You may not see me until the bond is complete." Elias nodded. "That's fine. I'm not here for your face. I'm here for peace." The room fell silent again. Then slowly the council gave approval. The bond trials would begin in 3 days. Elias was taken to the Valari Palace, a place built into a living mountain. The walls breathed. The lights hummed softly like music. Strange flowers opened when he passed. Everything felt alive, like the building itself was watching. He was given quarters next to the princess, though they were separated by heavy walls and guards. The only time they would meet was during trials. On the first day, Elias sat in a round room with a floating orb in the center. The princess stood across from him, still veiled. She didn't speak at first. The orb glowed. "First trial. Memory exchange," said a voice from the orb. "1 memory each. Honest. Raw. No lies." Elias breathed in, then closed his eyes. "All right, I'll go first." He shared a memory from the war back on Earth. A street in ruins. Children crying. Decision he made that saved lives, but cost him his arm. The feeling of guilt. The fear of being called a hero when he didn't feel like one. The princess was silent for a moment. Then she shared hers, a garden at night. She was young, hiding from her guards. She saw a mirror and looked into it. Her face flickered, changing slightly. Not a trick of light. A truth she couldn't explain. Her own people whispered that she was cursed. Elias opened his eyes. The orb dimmed. They said nothing, but something had changed. Each day brought a new trial. One day they had to solve a puzzle together without speaking. Another day, they had to share dreams through a mental link. They both saw flashes of the other's soul, spheres, joys, hopes. Cerulean saw Elias standing in front of a collapsing building, holding a crying child. Elias saw Cerulean dancing. Alone in a room full of empty chairs, their bond grew, and yet Elias never asked to see her face. At night, Elias would walk the gardens. Valari nights were calm. The stars so close, it felt like you could touch them. One night, as he stood near a fountain, the princess approached, still veiled. "Always, you're not like the others," she said softly. "Maybe I'm too dumb too." "Walk away," Elias joked, but she didn't laugh. "Do you ever wonder what I look like?" He looked at her, then up at the stars. "Sometimes. But I figure if it matters that much to you to hide it, then there's a reason." "There is," she said. "And it's not a good one." "Maybe not," Elias replied. "But I've seen good people do strange things for reasons they can't explain." He turned to her. "I'm not here for your face. I'm here because I've buried too many friends. I don't want more war. If this bond gives people a chance to live, I'll take it." She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Thank you." But not everyone was happy. In a dark room, deep beneath the palace, 3 figures met in secret.
Oh.
One wore the armor of a Valari warlord. Another wore the robe of an elder priest. The third was hidden in shadows. "This human is dangerous," said the priest. "He does not follow our customs. He must be stopped." "The bond must fail," said the warlord. "If it succeeds, peace will come. And with peace, we lose power." "We will act soon," said the shadow. Outside, the stars continued to shine, but storm clouds were rising. 3 days had passed since the bonding trials began. Captain Elias Rourke was slowly becoming more than just a guest in the Valari palace. The guards still watched him closely. The advisors still whispered behind his back. But the princess. She had begun to trust him. Each day, a new trial tested their bond. But behind the scenes, something dangerous was building. Some wanted Elias to fail. On the morning of the 4th trial, Elias woke early. The palace always felt too quiet, like the air was holding its breath. He stepped outside his room into the garden. Strange glowing flowers opened as he passed. A gentle breeze moved through the trees. He sat near the fountain, rubbing the metal of his cybernetic arm. It clicked softly as it moved. Footsteps approached. He didn't need to look. He already knew it was her. Princess Cerulean, still veiled. "Always." "You don't sleep much," she said. "I don't dream much anymore," he replied with a faint smile. "When I do, they're not worth remembering." She sat beside him, keeping a polite distance. "I dreamed of fire last night," she said, and eyes staring at me. Not angry, just watching. "Nightmares?" Elias asked. "No, just a warning." Later that day, the trial chamber was filled with blue light. In the center of the room stood a large circle made of old stone, covered in ancient runes. "Trial 4, the Chamber of Shadows," announced the glowing orb. "Face each. Others' greatest fear, survive, and your bond will deepen." The room darkened. The air turned cold. Elias's muscles tensed. "Let me guess, we're going in there." The princess nodded once. Together. As they stepped into the stone circle, everything around them vanished. The palace, the room, the floor all gone, now. They stood in a dreamscape made from fear itself. Elias blinked and found himself back on Earth. Smoke filled the sky. Buildings collapsed in the distance. His old squad ran toward cover, shouting his name, but this wasn't a memory. It was worse. He turned in, saw himself standing in front of him. But this version had both arms, no scars, and cold, lifeless. "Eyes, why did you survive?" the other Elias asked.
Why you and not them?"
"I don't know," Elias muttered. "You should have died. You failed them. You fail everyone." Elias clenched his fists. "That's not true." Stepped forward. "You think the princess can save you? She's broken. Just like you." Elias growled. "I'm not here to be saved." Then he shouted Cerulean. His fear faded. Smoke cleared. And suddenly he saw her. Princess Cerulean stood frozen in a field of black glass. Round her were mirror-like walls, reflecting different versions of herself. In one mirror, she had no face. In another, her face kept changing, eyes too wide, lips too thin, colors shifting. The reflections whispered, You are wrong. You are cursed. No one will accept you. Cerulean looked down at her hands. They shimmered, flickering like they didn't belong in one place. Then she heard a voice. Hey! She looked up. Leah stood just outside the mirror field, breathing hard. He reached out a hand. Come on, princess, you're not alone. She hesitated. What if you see me? I won't, he said. Not until you want me to, but I'll still be here. Her hand stopped flickering. With a deep breath, she stepped. Out of the glass maze, the shadows hissed, but they couldn't follow. The dreamscape shattered like glass. Back in the real world, the stone circle dimmed. The orb spoke again. Trial passed. Elias sat down, breathing heavily. Sweat rolled down his forehead. Cerulean stood in silence, her hands tight at her sides. You okay? He asked. She nodded slowly. I didn't expect you to come for me, Elias said with a small grin. I didn't walk through a nightmare just to leave you behind. She looked at him, her eyes hidden behind the veil. But something in her voice had changed. You are unlike anyone I've met. Elias chuckled. Yeah, I hear that a lot, usually not in a good way. But she didn't laugh. Instead, she stepped closer. Would you really accept me? She asked softly, even if I wasn't what you expected? He met her gaze, though he still couldn't see her face. I already do. That night, while the stars glowed above the palace, a hidden chamber lit up with red warnings. The three conspirators met again. The bond is getting stronger, said the warlord. They passed the fourth trial. Unacceptable, growled the priest. The old ways must be protected. The third figure stepped out of the shadows. A female Valari, wearing dark armor and a high crest of silver hair. We do not need to kill him, she said. Not yet. We only need to shake his trust. How? The others asked. She smiled coldly. We give him a choice. The next morning, Elias found a small box placed near his door. Inside was a note and a device shaped like an eye. The note. Read. Before you give your heart to someone who hides their face, see the truth. Place this over your eye while she sleeps. You deserve to know what you're bonding with. Elias stared at the device for a long time. Then he crushed it in his cybernetic hand. That evening, Elias walked to the edge of the garden again. Cerulean waited for him, standing near the moonlit trees. You passed the shadow trial, she said. That means the next trial is the final one. What happens then? Elias asked. She hesitated. We enter the Luminetta mind space where our thoughts and truths connect completely. It is the final step. Only those who trust each other completely can survive it. He nodded. Good, let's finish this. She turned away, but not before he noticed her hands trembling. You're scared, he said. Yes, of the Luminette. No, she whispered. Of what you might see inside me? He stepped forward. I've seen war. I've seen death. I've seen monsters. Whatever you're hiding, princess, I promise you it won't drive me away. She looked at him for a long moment. Then, I hope you're right, she said, because the truth inside me has driven many others away. High above, a surveillance drone watched them in silence. Far below, the conspirators made their final move. Tomorrow, during the Luminette trial, they would strike. And if Elias survived, he would know everything. The final trial had arrived. Elias stood in front of a large gate deep inside the Valari palace. The gate was smooth and glowing, shaped like a tall mirror with no reflection. It pulsed gently like it was alive. Beside him stood Princess Cerulean. Still veiled, her posture calm but tense. This is the entrance to the Luminette, she said quietly. A sacred place. Our minds will connect there. Our memories, our feelings, everything will be shared. Elias nodded slowly. No lies, no lies, she confirmed. Once we enter, there is no hiding. He looked at the glowing mirror. Then let's get it over with. She paused, then added, if you change your mind after what you see, I will understand. Elias turned to her, eyes steady. I've made my choice, princess. Not going anywhere. The gate opened. Soft light wrapped around them, and their bodies faded into energy. Their minds traveled, pulled through light and sound, Into the glowing network of ancient memory, the Luminate, they landed in a new space. There was no ground, no sky, just a wide, endless field of floating lights and distant stars. Thoughts echoed. Like whispers in the wind, the distance stood shapes, buildings, trees, moments frozen in time. Memories. Elias looked down at himself. He had no scars, no cybernetic arm. He looked the way he did before the war. Beside him, Cerulean appeared without her veil, but he didn't look at her. Not yet. She spoke first. "This is my true mind," she said. "You can look at me if you wish, or not. The choice is yours." Elias turned slowly and saw her. Her skin shimmered like silver water, but kept shifting. Her eyes changed color every few seconds. Her face reshaped subtly, not enough to look inhuman, but enough to seem like she came from many faces at once. Features flowed, never settling. She was beautiful and unsettling at the same time. Not monstrous, not cursed. Different. He stared for a long time, then smiled. "You're actually kind of amazing." She blinked. "You're not afraid?" "No," Elias said. "You're not broken. You're evolving." Her breath caught. "No one has ever said that." "Well, maybe they were blind." Cerulean looked around. "There's more you must see. It's the truth of what I am." She reached out, touching a floating orb of light. Suddenly, they were standing in a memory her. Memorya, Grand Hall. Her father, the High Emperor, shouted at the council. "She must be hidden. The people will never accept a Mirrorborn on the throne." "Then let me prove myself," young Cerulean pleaded. The Emperor pointed to a mirror. "Look at yourself. You are unstable. You are wrong." Another voice whispered. "No one will ever bond with her. She is a threat." The memory ended. They stood in silence. Cerulean spoke softly. "Mirrorborn are rare. Our DNA carries echoes from another version of reality. Scientists called it a genetic mirror effect. But the old religion, they called it a curse." "So they locked you away," Elias said bitterly. "Yes," she nodded. "I was trained, protected, hidden, told I could never be queen unless I bonded with someone who accepted me fully." She turned away. "It was never about peace. It was a test. One I was meant to fail." Elias frowned. "But why go through all this if no one was expected to succeed?" She looked back at him. "Because some in my family believe the curse will end if I disappear." Suddenly the stars around them flickered. A sharp voice echoed. "Outsider. You do not belong here." Massive figure appeared, tall, glowing and shaped like a Valari queen from long ago. Her face was solid, perfect, unchanging. "I am Queen Alira," she said. "Mother of the Valari line, keeper of the blood." Elias stepped in front of Cerulean. "We're not here to fight. Your bond must be tested," Alira declared. "You, human, must prove you will not flee when faced with her true self." "She's already shown me everything," Elias said firmly. "Then you will face me." Without warning, energy pulsed from Alira. Elias was blasted backward, landing hard on invisible ground. Pain shot through his chest. "Alira, stop," Cerulean shouted. "He is not your enemy. He is not Valeri," Alira said. "Cannot understand sacrifice." Elias stood, gritting his teeth. "I've sacrificed more than you know." The queen raised her hand again. Another blast of energy surged toward him. But this time, Elias didn't fall. He held his ground. With effort, he stepped forward, through the energy step by step. His clothes burned, his skin glowed red from the force, but he kept going. "I'm not leaving her." Lyra paused. The light faded. "You would stand against the ancestors for her?" the queen asked. "I'd stand against the galaxy," Elias said. Cerulean stepped forward. "He is the one I choose. He has seen me, and he stays." Alira studied them both. Then slowly, she bowed her head. "Then the bond is accepted." The stars brightened. The luminette began to glow. "You may complete the bond," Alira said. But just as Elias and Cerulean reached out to one another, a loud shriek echoed through the Elmini. Suddenly dark energy burst through the sky. "Cerulean, screamed as she was pulled back by invisible chains. "What's happening?" Elias shouted. A new figure appeared. Wrapped in black and red, it was the Valari priest, one of the conspirators. "You've gone too far, princess," he hissed. "This bond must be broken. You threaten the old ways. You're not supposed to be here," Cerulean yelled. "This is sacred." "Not anymore," the priest sneered. "The council gave me access, and now I erase you." Dark chains wrapped around Cerulean's form. Her body began to fade. "No," Elias roared. He ran toward her, grabbing her fading hand. "Elias," she cried, "he's using the Luminet to destroy my mind. Not if I stop him." Elias focused with all his will. The Luminet reacted, pulsing around him. A wave of energy shot from his chest, breaking the chains. The priest screamed as he was pushed out of the mind space. Cerulean fell into Elias's arms, weak but alive. The stars glowed once again. Back in the real world, alarms rang through the palace. Elias and Cerulean woke up, gasping. The bond was complete, but now our enemies were acting in the real world. The conspirators had made their move, and war was coming. The bond was complete. Elias and Princess Cerulean had returned from the Luminet, hearts connected, minds open to each other, and stronger than ever. But peace did not follow. Instead, alarms rang across the palace. Lights flashed red. Guards ran through the halls, weapons drawn. Smoke rose from the eastern tower. War had begun from inside the royal home. "They've moved faster than I thought," Elias said, pulling on his combat jacket as he followed Cerulean through the corridor. "We just bonded a few minutes ago, and they're already attacking?" "This was never about the bond," she replied, her voice sharp with pain and anger. "They feared it. They planned to destroy it the moment we succeeded." "Who are they exactly?" Elias asked, ducking as a blast rocked the hallway. "3 leaders from the council," she answered. "Warlord Korak, High Priest Rintel, and my cousin Lady Velna." Elias frowned. "Your cousin? Seriously?" "She was supposed to protect the royal bloodline," Cerulean said. "But she sees me as a mistake, and she thinks she can take the throne if I'm out of the way, and I'm the outsider she'll blame," Elias said bitterly. "She already has." As they reached the throne hall, the doors burst open. 10 guards rushed in with weapons. Elias raised his hands, but Cerulean stepped in front of him. "Stand down," she commanded. "I am still your princess. I will." "Not raise arms against my bondmate?" One of the guards, a young Valari male, looked unsure. "But the council declared him a threat. Said he used forbidden tech to corrupt your mind. He saved my life," she snapped. "I chose him freely in the Luminet. Do you doubt my will?" The guard lowered his weapon. "Oh, my princess." The rest followed, stepping back. Elias exhaled. "You really are royalty." She gave a weak smile. "Sometimes they need to be reminded." Suddenly a loud explosion echoed from the west side of the palace. Cerulean's face turned pale. "That's the temple wing." Elias narrowed his eyes. "That's where the ancestral crystal is, right?" "Yes, if they destroy it, the bond network will collapse and they'll erase proof that we completed the Luminet." "Then let's stop them," Elias said, already running. Cerulean followed, her veil now discarded. Her glowing, shifting face shone under the palace lights. She wasn't hiding anymore. The temple was all ready. Under attack, Velna stood in front of the ancient crystal, holding a dark-bladed staff. High Priest Rintel chanted beside her. Energy surged toward the crystal, cracking its glowing surface. "You're too late," Velna shouted when she saw Elias and Cerulean enter. "This ends now." "No," Cerulean cried. "That crystal holds generations of Valari memory." "Exactly," Rintel said with cold pride. "And your corrupted bond will be forgotten with it." Elias pulled out his plasma sidearm. "Step away," Velna laughed. "You wouldn't shoot family." Elias didn't laugh. He aimed at the staff's base and fired. The shot hit, breaking the focus crystal at the bottom. Velna screamed as her weapon exploded in her hands. Throwing her back, Cerulean ran forward, her hands glowing with bright silver light. She reached the crystal and placed her palm on it. The cracks stopped spreading. It pulsed again stable. But Rintel wasn't finished. He raised a dagger made from black bone. "If I can't break the crystal," he growled, "then I'll break you." He charged at Sir Ellian. Elias stepped between them. The dagger slashed forward and struck Elias in the chest. He gasped, stumbled back, and fell. Elias. Cerulean screamed. Silver light burst from her body in a wave. The blast threw Rintel across the room and into a pillar. He didn't move again. She dropped beside Elias, her hands shaking. Blood soaked his shirt. No. Stay with me. His eyes fluttered open, that guy.
Really didn't like me. Now don't joke.
She whispered, tears slipping down her cheeks. You're not allowed to die. I'm not planning to, he whispered. You still owe me a real tour of your planet. She laughed through the tears. Then don't leave me. His hand gripped hers. Not ever. In the hours that followed, the palace was taken back by loyal forces. Velna was arrested, trying to flee through the spaceport. The warlord was found hiding in a storage vault. The priest remained unconscious. Elias survived. The dagger had missed his heart by half an inch. He spent 2 days recovering in the royal medbay. Cerulean never left his side. On the 3rd day, Elias was finally strong enough to sit up. Cerulean entered the room, dressed in full royal armor silver with blue patterns, her flowing cape behind her. She wasn't veiled anymore. Her face shone proudly now, ever-changing and beautiful. You look like a queen, Elias said. I have too, she replied, sitting beside him. The coronation is soon, and the people are waiting. He hesitated. Will they accept me? She looked into his eyes. You saved me. You protected our memories. You stood against your fears and mine. If they don't accept you, then they don't deserve you. He smiled. You always know what to say. I had a good teacher, she said, leaning in. Their foreheads touched. She whispered, Will you stand with me as my partner? My bondmate? Forever? Elias grinned. I thought you'd never ask. The coronation was held at sunrise. Hundreds gathered in the grand sky hall. With silver banners flying and stars shining above the transparent ceiling dome, Cerulean stood before the High Council. No longer a hidden princess, but a queen of her people. Her face was unveiled for all to see. Elias stood beside her in ceremonial armor, hand in hers. A soft murmur ran through the crowd. Surprise, curiosity, but no fear. The ceremony began. By the time the sun rose fully, Cerulean was crowned as Queen of the Velari, and Elias Rourke became the first human ever bonded in Velari. History. But peace doesn't last forever. As the music played and cheers rang out, a messenger rushed in. He bowed low and handed Cerulean a glowing message cube. She opened it. Her eyes widened. What is it? Elias asked. Her voice was quiet but full of weight. Ships, thousands of them, entering Velari space. From where? She turned to him, face hard. Not from this galaxy. The Velari sky had never looked so dark. Thousands of strange ships hovered just beyond the moonline, sleek, black, silent. They didn't respond to messages. They didn't fire weapons. But their presence sent fear across the entire system. Queen. Cerulean stood on the palace's upper balcony, staring into the heavens. Elias stood beside her, armored again, calm strength in his eyes. This isn't an invasion, Cerulean said, voice cold. It's a warning, Elias asked. From who? She didn't answer at first. Then she whispered, the Mirrorborn's other half. Back in the Luminette, during their bond, Cerulean had mentioned her DNA carried something strange, a reflection. An echo of another version of herself? Now that mystery had taken shape in the stars. The alien fleet didn't belong to any known empire. They were not pirates or traitors. Their symbols were reversed, like mirror images of Velari writing. Their designs matched nothing in the known galaxy, but they carried something familiar. Something in Cerulean's blood had called to them. Inside the war chamber, the new council gathered. Some were allies, some were still suspicious, the generals argued. The scientists theorized. Panic was close. Elias stayed silent, watching Cerulean as she addressed them. We will not fire first, she said calmly. But we will not kneel, one general asked. What if they are not here for war, They are not here for peace, she replied. But they may be here for me. Whispers broke out. They came after the bond, someone muttered. Elias finally spoke. Then maybe I should go talk to them. The room went silent. Cerulean turned sharply. They're watching us. They haven't fired. Because they're studying us. They probably know I bonded with you. I'm human, something they didn't expect. Maybe that's our chance. She stepped closer. You don't understand what they are, Elias. They are not just from another part of space. They may be from another version of existence. Mirrorborn isn't just a name. Elias held her gaze. Then maybe it takes something real to face them, not just reflection. Later that night, Elias stood in the hangar, preparing his shuttle. It was small, fast, and not armed. That was the point. He wanted to show peace. Risky, yes. But brave Cerulean arrived just before launch. I should go with you, she said. You're the queen now, he answered gently. You can't risk yourself. And you can, she challenged. I'm not doing this to be a hero. I'm doing this because I can feel it. They're here, because of our bond. If I can show them we're more than just opposites, maybe they'll listen. She stepped forward and placed a small glowing charm in his palm. This contains a piece of the luminet. If they are what I fear, they will recognize it. He nodded. Then he kissed her. Be ready, he said, in case they don't come in peace. Ilias's ship left Valeria's orbit and entered the darkness. Between stars, as he neared the alien fleet, a single ship detached from the formation. It moved silently and approached him. His coms buzzed, a voice soft, layered, echoing, human, bonded with the mirror child. Why? Elias steadied his voice. Because I saw her truth, and I didn't run. You altered her path. Oh, changed. What was fated? Maybe fate needed changing. Silence. Then come speak face to face. The alien ship opened. Inside, it was bright, too bright. The walls were pure white, pulsing gently. Elias walked forward, heart pounding. He felt no gravity, but his feet moved like he was still grounded. And then, from the wall, she stepped out. She looked like Cerulean's same eyes, same walk, but everything was reversed. Her skin shimmered in negative color. Her voice echoed. Strangely, she was not a clone. She was a reflection. I am Solaria, she said. The original, your bondmate is my echo. Elias frowned. Original? What does that mean? In our universe, she was never meant to live, Solaria said. Her existence in yours was a mistake, a crack between timelines. You bonded with a tear in reality. She's not a mistake, Elias said firmly. She's stronger than you know. That strength will end both our worlds. He stepped forward. Then tell me why you're really here. Solaria waved her hand. A hologram appeared. Two realities. Side by side, Elias saw planets, stars, systems. Then the bond symbol glowed between the universes. You and she are connected across space and time, Solaria explained. That connection weakens the barrier between our worlds. If the bond remains, both realities will collapse into one. The result will be war, chaos, destruction of all life. Elias was quiet. You must unbond, she said gently. For the good of both galaxies, no. Solaria looked at him, surprised. She isn't just someone I love, Elias said. She's someone who deserves to exist, deserves to lead. Your world might be afraid of her, but mine needs her. Solaria's face hardened. Then we will erase the bond by force. Back on Valari Prime, alarms sounded again. Enemy ships are powering weapons. The guards cried. Cerulean rose from her throne. Prepare shields. Do not fire unless I command. Her heart pounded. She felt Elias through the bond, his fear, his hope. She closed her eyes and whispered, Come back to me. Inside. The alien ship, Solaria, raised her hand. Glowing spear of energy formed. Elias pulled the luminet charm from his pocket. If you're her reflection, he said, then you should know what this means. She hesitated. He tossed it to her. She caught it. The crystal pulsed. Her body shivered. Suddenly, memories not her own flashed into her mind, Cerulean's pain. Her childhood, her isolation, and the moment Elias first saw her true face. And stayed, Celaria gasped. She's... Me, no, Elias corrected. She's better. Celaria's ship went silent. Then slowly her weapon faded. I was told she was dangerous, she whispered. That she would destroy both sides. But she chose love, and you chose her, because she deserves to be chosen. Celaria closed her eyes, then she opened a portal. Go, return to her. I will speak to my people. Perhaps we do not need. To destroy what we don't understand, Elias returned to Valari airspace hours later. The alien fleet. Gone. Vanished into the stars like a shadow melting at dawn. The people cheered. The council breathed again. But Cerealian said nothing. She waited in the throne garden. When Elias walked in, she didn't speak. Right into his arms. You came back, she whispered. Of course I did. They're gone? For now? Their leader understood. She looked at him with wonder. You changed the mind of someone not even from our reality, he chuckled. Guess I'm hard to argue with. That evening, the stars shone bright. Cerealian and Elias stood on the highest balcony of the palace. Do you think they'll return? She asked. Maybe, he said, but not to fight. Maybe next time. To learn. She smiled. Then we'll be ready. They held hands, fingers laced to souls. One bond, not from the same world but stronger together. In a galaxy full of fear and power, they had done the unthinkable. They chose understanding. They chose each other. And in doing so, they changed everything.